Okay, there you are, audit and fraud, friends and family. Listen, have you ever seen a system that was designed to help people in need, but then somebody somewhere found a way to game it? You know, a network of players working behind the scenes, pulling the strings when no one was looking. Well, this week on the Friday Fraudster, we follow a trail of a scheme that is so bold it defies expectation. Who is really behind it? You'll have to wait and see. How long did it last? You need to wait and see. So, what happens when deception is orchestrated from the most unlikely places? Hold on to your hats because this one is crazy. I know I say this every week, but I'm serious this time. This one is real crazy. Hold on to your hats.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right, you heard the intro. Look, I just want to ask you all a question. What is the craziest person that you've seen committing a fraud? The absolute craziest person. Like, for example, one time we investigated a fraud, and the person who was stealing was actually fairly wealthy, probably a millionaire. So that really didn't make sense as to why they were stealing. So just tell me, what is the craziest fraudster you've ever seen in your life? Because today, you guys are really you're in for a real treat or a shock, one of the two, when we tell you who the fraudsters were and how they committed the fraud. And so, without further ado, we're just going to bring Christine up. I mean, we just could. So,
Hello, happy Friday.
happy Friday. So, okay, listen, what would an episode be if we didn't start with a crazy question from me?
Mm-hmm.
So, a few minutes ago, we were talking about social media
Yes.
and how people meet on social media nowadays and all that good stuff.
Yes. Are we throwing my daughter under the bus on this one?
Oh, no. Nope. I'm trying to figure out how to ask it because what's the craziest message that you've ever sent someone on social media?
I think I try to be very cautious of that.
Right?
Because you don't want it to come back and bite you in the butt. Because I've seen way too many times that somebody just opens their mouth and says the things that they're thinking out loud, and then they lose their job, all that stuff. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put that out there. Or I'm going to try not to. What about
That's
you?
my thought too.
What's
Right?
the craziest thing that you've ever said?
You know, I would say, okay, so how do I say this nicely? So I typically don't argue with people. I simply present the facts and I'm done. If I'm wrong, I say, my bad, I'm sorry, and I move forward. But
Right.
there are certain people who like to argue just for the sake of seeing their mouth move up and down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was having a discussion with a young lady, and she did this thing where she asked me a direct question. I gave her a direct answer. And she said something silly like, well, that's not the answer I was looking for. Like, well,
Okay.
maybe you should ask better questions then. I mean. So then she sent me back something else, calling me some kind of disparaging name.
Was this verbal or written?
This was written.
Okay.
This was written. So after she called me this really nasty name, let's just say I responded and I said, thank you. I'll take that any day. At least I'm not. And then I sent her a photo of herself, not anything, like nasty or risque, but a photo of herself exhibiting the exact behavior she accused me of because I knew I
Uh,
had never done or said what she had said. So, and then I was done.
and did she respond?
Well, she tried to, but it was just some babble that I couldn't understand. Well, you've heard me say what I call the 3Ds before when people defend, deflect, deny. That's how you know they're lying. And so it was some off topic, something about something or another, and then I never responded. I don't engage in idiocy. If I see it coming along, I try to say, okay, well, what's really happening here? And I try to get logical with people. But if you show me that you have irrational, unstable emotions, that's not my job to actually correct that. It's not my fault if you don't have good self-regulation. That ain't on me.
Right.
So,
Which today's story had zero self-regulation,
so
right?
that zero. I mean, just zero. Because I think you know why I asked you the question I just asked you. Like, what's the craziest thing you've ever sent someone on social media? Like, what? Just
Oh, yeah. Because, and put it in a perspective, you have these type of talks with your kids before you give them their first cell phone on the things you are and are not supposed to do to protect yourself, right? And
yeah,
it's like what I've done with my children is these are the things you don't do. And if somebody does this or asks for this, you need to come and see me because we can get in big trouble if we don't say anything.
absolutely. Now, going down that same road, I will say even Linky is a little funny because hmm, I've seen people send people some very interesting things on Linky.
People post very interesting replies on Linky. Like stuff that there's a part of me I'm going, whoo, probably could have filtered that a couple of times before posting, but I just keep
Very,
scrolling.
very true.
I
So,
just
so
keep
I've got so I've got these friends, and how do I say this nicely? I mean, it's nice anyway, but how do I say it in a way that, okay, let me just say it. So I've got these friends that I talk to on a fairly regular basis
mm-hmm.
who receive very interesting things on LinkedIn. Um, you know, marriage proposals, inappropriate pictures,
On Linky.
weird stuff on LinkedIn. Yeah. And so we laugh and we joke about it regularly. Mm.
Is anybody else that's watching this right now get those? I don't get that stuff. Thank
Oh
God.
boy.
Thank you. Thank you that I don't. I'm not asking for it, but like a
Yeah.
lot, very often. Was it like a one fluke sort of a thing? Because the way you're making
Oh,
it sound like it's an all the time.
it's not a one fluke thing. As a matter of fact, I've got one friend, we laugh about it at least weekly. I sent her a message the other day. I was looking at one of her posts and I said, look at this one. And she might be listening right now. She may not be listening, but um it, it's very interesting the things that people send. Now, I've received a couple of interesting things and I'm just like, what made you send this to someone? Like how
Do
what are
you
you
get them
thinking?
too?
Every once in a while. Now, men don't get them as much as women. Let's just say
Okay.
that. So, once or twice a year, maybe I'll get something and I'm like, woo, okay, wow, surprise. Okay. There we go. Um,
I would delete it. I would just delete it.
yeah, I'm with you on that. But I'm trying to get inside the mind of why would somebody send something like that to a total stranger on top of that? That's the part that's getting me.
Look at romance scams. That's how romance scams start, and pig butchering. That's all it is it's cold texting
Yeah, yeah.
until you get somebody that just kind of think it's the loneliness aspect.
Ooh, now this is interesting. Stephanie says that is why there are no gifts or memes allowed at work anymore. I'm wondering what was happening in your workplace for people to say no more gifts or memes allowed.
Whoa. Is that Stephanie?
Yeah, yeah.
So now I'm wondering, did your like IT department like restrict them? Or like you just get in trouble if you use them? Yeah, weird.
Hmm. She said some weirdos always have to ruin it. That's very interesting.
That's how
Um,
corporate America works. If you really think about it, if things, the perks and stuff that happen, it's usually the few that ruin it for everybody. Somebody's got to push it over the edge. And example, GIFs, GIFs, whatever you say, or memes.
yeah. Now, I'm gonna say there was this one young lady who was freely sharing herself on LinkedIn.
Yeah, Stephanie, I can only imagine the memes that you send. It was a stern warning. I send memes all the time. My favorite one is Tina Turner, and it's her singing "You're Simply the Best" when somebody does something awesome.
Ah, okay. See,
That's
I had
not a
gone to a
bad
whole nother
meme.
place. Yeah, yeah.
That's not a bad meme.
That's not a bad one. I was thinking it was what's love got to do with it. That was, that was
No, it's her singing "You're Simply the Best."
okay. I got that one. That one gets a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
I
that's a work appropriate meme, is it not?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So it's I think we can conclude that most of us, those of us who listen to the Friday Fraudster, or especially those of us in the fraud, risk, and compliance space, won't be sending any risque photos to strangers. What you do with your significant other, I'm okay with that. That's your business. Okay.
I
But
don't think
to
any of us would.
strangers.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So now, if that's the case, why would anyone then be surprised if those strangers turn around and then try to blackmail you using the photos that you sent them?
I feel like we could have had a crystal ball tell us what was going to happen.
Right?
This isn't anything new. Heck, I mean, if you really look at how many court cases have been out of there from couples who have done that.
Yep.
Look at famous people. Hasn't that happened to a couple of famous people where they hung nudes over each other's heads for money and
Yeah.
extorted them out of money?
Well, and even if it's not nudes, just regular correspondence. I don't know if have you heard about the scandal that's happening with Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife, and the movie director, where
Mhm.
she accused him of a bunch of different things, and he said, "Okay, since we're going to do this in public, here's all the documentation." And the documentation is showing that she probably not a nice person.
I haven't been paying attention to it. I know there's something that's going on. I'm just sitting here going, whatever.
Yeah, she accused him of a lot of stuff, a lot of
Oh,
bad stuff.
yeah. So I do know that she accused him, and then like now everything's kind of flipped. But I haven't been paying attention. Where if somebody asked me my opinion, I'd sit here and say I don't have one. I don't know who's right. I don't know who's wrong, and I don't have.
Oh, we definitely know who's right and who's wrong based on the hard evidence. Stephanie says it's bad if Deadpool's wife gets offended. Well, anyway, I won't go down that rabbit hole because that's not this kind of show. But let's just say keep your receipts because we live in a world where people will say anything and then the actual proof says something different. By the way, anybody want to come at me? I got receipts for days, months, years. I got a Dropbox full of a lot of a lot of stuff. So come on. Okay. Okay. So now, with that said, In today's story, I just don't even know where to start. Okay.
Well, because there's still a whole section of this. So everybody already knows that we're sitting here and talking about extortion for random texts and nudes. And then they're probably sitting here going, how is this tying back to government assistance? Like, we're talking about extortion here. There's
Yep.
a whole nother flip to this, people.
Yeah. When I saw this one, I was like, this has got to be the one. Okay. So in today's story, here's what was happening.
It's crazy.
Inmates in prison stole identities from individuals. Now, they got the identifying information because initially they baited the people into sending them nudes and then they extorted their personal information from them. They used that personal information to apply for government benefits. And then when they got the checks and the debit cards, they had people outside of prison cash the checks, get the debit cards, and then send money back to them in prison. I'm sorry, I couldn't stress this one out any longer. This was just crazy to me. Like, oh, by the way, the projected financial loss of this is $4.99 million to the US government and also affecting multiple states.
And that's outside of what, because I think they also extorted money when they could. But it's what's even crazier is there's people inside the prison that weren't part of it, but knew what they were doing and gave up their personal information so those people could apply for it, and then they would just get a cut of whatever their name got for fetching government program assistance.
Yeah, okay. So let's stick on this one for just 1 minute, though, because you bring up a really good point. Usually, if you are incarcerated, they stop you from getting benefits. So, how is it that they were able to use the identities of people who were in prison? And maybe it was jail versus prison, maybe it was a short term stint, but I thought it said prison, right? I kept looking for the distinction between the two. But how is it that someone in prison was able to apply for state benefits and was able to get them? Because usually you are suspended from getting benefits when you are in prison. So let's just stick right there for just 1 minute because we already know that we have instances of dead people getting paid Social Security and all kinds of other government benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So on top of not cross-checking for deceased people, we're not cross-checking for incarcerated people either. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Marsha says Doge will find them when they reach the penal system. Now, Marsha brings up another one, ASAP Rocky, Rihanna's husband, right? Isn't he Rihanna's husband? I think so. He had a close call where he had a case that was just thrown out because they provided evidence. So keep your evidence.
He was going to serve like 25 years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Not assault, no, manslaughter, like murder.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was now, but that's the part that really makes me upset is nowadays we live in a world where people can say whatever the heck they want to say, and it has dire consequences for other folks, and they could be lying directly through their teeth. Like it's just so disgusting where truth doesn't matter anymore. And the real part that kills me is most people aren't really lying, quote unquote, wink, wink. They're telling partial truths, but a partial truth is still a whole doggone lie.
Partial truths and omission.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. Intentional omission, right?
Yep.
Because I think we all do unintentional omission. Because when we're telling a story back to someone, we forget certain pieces, and then they may say, "Oh, wait a minute.
Yes.
I thought you said this yesterday." Okay, yeah, I forgot. Let's bring it full circle. Unintentional omission is really a thing. We all do it. It's unintentional. Intentional omission is malicious and wicked.
Yes. Yeah, unintentional is. I don't think you're omitting to avoid saying anything. So.
Yeah.
So what happened that got him acquitted? Like what popped up? What did they find?
I can't remember. I think he provided some evidence, if I'm not mistaken. You know what? You got me wondering about that one now.
Bouncing between stories.
Now I'm gonna look it up because let's see. It says it took a jury of 7 women and 5 men roughly 3 hours to decide the case, finding him not guilty of 2 felonies. They could decide Rocky was not guilty because he only fired blanks from a prop gun taken from a music video set, as the defense argued, or that he acted in self-defense. Wait a minute, hold on.
I'm sorry I put you on a whole different story, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, but I'm curious now. But okay. So that's what I'm able to find just that quickly. Now Clarence says he used to work in a prison. The other thing they don't have is the right to vote. Right. Some receive IRS refunds. Oh, now that's interesting. Well, yeah. Well, that's very interesting. But yeah, I didn't think you could apply for any sort of state unemployment benefits, especially. So here's to add a little bit more color here, though. 29 out of 31 indicted defendants have pleaded guilty in a 5-year investigation into a scheme to fraudulently obtain COVID-19 unemployment benefits. This was in South Carolina. South Carolina Department of Correction inmates, along with family members and friends outside of the prison system. Evidence presented in court revealed that incarcerated inmates harvested personal information such as social security numbers, date of birth, etc., from other inmates and used information to apply for COVID-19 unemployment benefits. So that's what happened. But there were 29 out of the 31 pleaded guilty. One person, I think, said they were innocent, and then there's another person that's considered to be on the run. They face up to 20 years in prison, fines, and restitution. And then some have already been sentenced while others are waiting to be sentenced.
Yeah. I wonder how many of those are actual inmates and how many of those are family members. You are.
70, I mean, that's a good point. 70 said if you're in prison, you are unemployed, right?
But yeah. Are you? Like, what if you do the dishes and you only get like 2 cents an hour into your contraband account or whatever? Yeah. Not contraband.
Not contraband account. Your commissary account.
Commissary account.
Yeah.
Like, if they work at the prison, don't they get money put into their commissary?
I don't know. I've never been in prison. No,
Me neither.
I think so. But well, and you know, so it's very interesting because when we go back to the top where I said they were using photos, explicit photos, and possibly videos that people sent to them to extort their personal identifying information from them. Okay, so now we always like to talk about solutions and risk and controls here, right? This is the part that weirds me out. Let's just say if I sent somebody compromising photos and then they did not ask for any money, the first thing I would think is they're probably going to try and steal my identity. And so I just freeze my credit. Now, granted, they were applying for state benefits, so I get that. But here's the other thing. Wouldn't you have to apply for the state benefits in the state where the person lives?
I would think so.
So that means that their network had to be massive because now you would have to have someone living in that state in order to get the benefits. Because if I'm a state, I wouldn't mail out benefits to someone who has an address that is in another state. Now, direct deposit is a different story altogether. Right. But apparently some of these were actually gift cards too. They had to be mailed out.
Mm-hmm.
So this thing lasted, it was in multiple states. Let's see if I can find the states.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, boy. Hold on. Let me see. So North Carolina, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Nevada, New Jersey, Missouri, Arizona, and California.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty spread around.
Clarence says certain jobs pay better in prison. But no, I okay, he said certain agencies check various systems for fraud, which means some agencies don't. You gotta think about the ingenuity within this because this is a all jokes aside, this was a multi-level scheme that used various skill sets to in order to get the job done. So
Right.
first, you got to figure out who you want to target. And it said that they weren't just using men or women, they were using men and women. So they were targeting men and women.
Right.
But you had to find someone that would give you explicit photos, videos, or whatever. Then you had to turn around and extort those people. And what it said they were doing was they were getting the photos and videos using one phone and then using another phone line, probably on the same phone, to go in and then extort them.
And they were luring them by pretending themselves to be younger men and female to extort these out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like they were just like texting and just expecting these things to fly on. They were trying to actually like work through it.
Yeah. So that in and of itself is like one skill set altogether, right?
Yeah.
Identifying the targets, extorting them. So then once they got their information, they needed to go to these state websites and actually apply. Now I will say I never received any, but even though so I didn't have a job during the pandemic, heck, I still don't have a job now. I work for myself, but I didn't have a job during the pandemic. And I was trying to figure out what the heck are you going to do if you are an in-person speaker and trainer. And I thought about applying for state benefits, and I'm glad I didn't because in my mind, when somebody's giving away some kind of money, there's strings attached to it, and I just whatever. So I thought about applying. I read the application. I looked at what they wanted. I was like, gee whiz, just applying in and of itself is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Because they wanted you to go in every week and certify that you had not made any money or you had not worked or something like that. And it was a lot.
And I think in Wisconsin, like, I think you have to show proof that you've at least tried applying for jobs. I could be wrong.
I think I remember reading that in some states, but I don't remember if where I was actually asked for that. They probably did. It makes sense. So now they had to actually apply or get some people to apply. They had to read the rules, understand the rules, follow the rules, because I'm assuming it wasn't just a one-time payment for the total to be $4.99 million. They got money over an extended period of time. Wow, I just wow.
Yeah, Wisconsin, you have to provide proof of your work search activities to maintain your eligibility.
And that makes sense. So if they had to do that, that means they had to have a log of the people whose identities they had stolen and what states they were allocated to. And I mean, this is real serious follow-up, you know? It's like doing an investigation or an audit and then following up and
Well, here's the other question I have though. Like, if you apply, like if I would apply for unemployment here in Wisconsin, right? Wouldn't somehow my previous employer be notified that I'm claiming unemployment?
one would think, but during COVID, when we were running this show, I remember there were certain states that dropped all of that due diligence, that criteria. They said, nah, you don't have to do it. Colorado was one of them. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Is this? And then everybody was surprised when fraud came up. Now, Stephanie said that she heard advice to go onto the state's website for benefits and create a profile just to create someone else from doing it. That is very smart. That is actually very, very, very smart.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, Lisa is saying you could have applied, wow, for PPP loans as a solopreneur, auditor, accountant, 20K. Wow. I missed out then because I just felt like there was too many strings that may have been associated with that money. But I really could have used that back then. Like literally broke as a joke. Like really broke as a joke.
Yeah, Wisconsin has the capability. I can go in there and start an account.
Oh, I bet it was. Lisa saying it was the Wild Wild West during COVID. Because every week we had a story here talking about
Yeah.
some sort of COVID fraud. But I remember Colorado was really bad, Kentucky was really bad. And in Colorado, the governor actually said, well, we may not go after these people. And I'm thinking, that's no way to deter.
Well, we had a spike in unemployment fraud where I was working during the time for COVID. And we were essentially alerted to it because all of a sudden we had members getting unemployment benefits from Arizona, everything
Oh.
else. And our systems are alerting us saying this direct deposit appears out of normal activity. And sure enough, we're sitting here going, how, like, this person hasn't changed their address in 15 years. How are they getting unemployment from Arizona?
Now that is insane. You know what's really interesting though? So we live in an age where everybody's talking about AI this, AI that, artificial intelligence. Surely someone could build some sort of artificial intelligence to catch a lot of this. But I will tell you, auditors, AI can make your life a whole lot easier. You can
Yeah,
cut down a lot of the time that you are spending doing those mundane audit tasks. You want to know how?
I
Well,
know.
let's just take a commercial break. Check this out.
Welcome to Audit Leverage, the AI-powered platform that is transforming how auditors work, brought to you by That Audit Guy. Auditing today isn't just about ticking boxes, it's about delivering insights, uncovering and evaluating risks, and adding real value. But too often, auditors are buried in tedious research, vague root cause assessments, and endless report revisions. Meet Audit Leverage, the AI-powered platform built to help auditors plan smarter, analyze deeper, and communicate clearer. Let's dive right in and take a look at some of our modules and tools. No more scattered spreadsheets or missing connections. The Risk Control and Audit Test Matrix presents the risks, maps them to controls, and aligns both with audit tests, so you can see the full picture in seconds. This is a powerful tool within our planning module. Simply enter your industry and the process you're auditing, and watch the magic happen, a risk matrix that you can actually use. You're likely excited about what Audit Leverage offers, but you might have some questions too. Visit our Help Center or reach out to our team.
So, my friends, Audit Leverage, we leverage AI to help you audit more effectively and more efficiently. And Lisa says she needs to check out my product. Yeah, Lisa, you do. Lisa, if you're in contact with any accounting firms, they need audit leverage. We can shave time off off of a lot of that mundane work that you have to do. So, as a 30-year veteran in the profession, I built this thing from the ground up. But we've got some surprises coming soon, some updates, and maybe even another platform that directly helps with Sarbanes-Oxley. Stay tuned.
Ooh,
Stay tuned.
so many great changes. You're just
That's
pumping
right.
and plugging away.
Okay. So look, is there anything else we need to talk about? Did you notice anything else in this story? Because between how in the world did people send risque photos to strangers? How in the world did they allow themselves to be extorted with those risque photos? Because I ain't gonna lie, look, you can try and get money out of me with risque photos. I'm just gonna tell you to publish them. I don't care. Whatever. I don't have enough time to be. First of all, I wouldn't send you any to begin with, but okay. Let's just say if I did. However much you want, I don't care. Heck, it's a body part. I don't care at this point. This point in my life, I don't really care.
Right.
Right.
I
So
don't.
then,
Right. I don't
okay,
think there's anything that we missed. I know people are like, well, how could we prevent this? Well, the first thing is cell phones getting into prisons. If they didn't have that, we wouldn't be talking about this. I mean, there's just so many So many things that went wrong, multiple, 5 million times for this to
So, okay.
happen.
So cell phones in prison. Okay. Next thing is though, Stephanie had a really good point. Sign up for your state unemployment benefits. Just sign up to have an account. So if someone tries to establish an account in your name, they won't be able to. That's a really good one. I never even thought about that. Next thing is if someone starts to extort you, eh,
if somebody texts you and they are not a saved number in your phone, assume they're scamming you.
right.
You don't have a second cousin that your Aunt Martha gave your cell phone number to so you guys could connect and go have coffee together. That's never happening. So
Yeah.
just
And if you're a
always
grandparent, your grandson or granddaughter is not in trouble right now and needs
no,
$5,000 immediately to save their life. Like
correct.
that's just not happening.
No. And as Rob normally always says, check on your neighbors, your friends, your family members that are older. Make sure they stay educated on all the scams that are coming down, and talk to your young ones for cases of stuff like this as well. So, because you never know when one of those scam texts is going to come along.
I get them
Pretend,
every day.
yeah, pretend to be somebody that they're not, and
I get them every day at this point. And it's wild because there's so many platforms, right? So you get them on Telegram, you get them on WhatsApp, you get them on your phone number. And yeah, just like Lisa just said, I don't answer them either. If I don't know you, you can leave a message if it's that important, or you can text. Like those things are easy. But now I get these texts where people is just like they say hi, and I'm like, okay, delete. Or they'll
I
say,
I had
here's
one
the,
today that said, I'm interested in that job posting that you have."
yeah, that's what I was about to say. The new scam is trying to get you to respond based on something. Like I got one. Let's see if I can find it. It said, or it says, hey, I'm sorry I had to cancel on you, but are you free for dinner this weekend? Now that's very specific. And you know what I did? Delete. Because first of all, nobody cancels dinner with me. That just doesn't happen. I can't believe I said it with a straight face.
Oh, that's awesome.
But no. But no, and so they'll say things like, I'm glad you're feeling better, or when did you start feeling better? And if you had been sick recently, it's just a shot in the dark, right? You send out 1,000 of those,
Yeah.
all you need is one or two people to bite.
Yeah.
That's the new thing.
Yeah, because this one was, it's the data analyst position.
Do you have an open data analyst position?
I looked,
Yeah, I gotta
as
check
soon
that.
as they said that, I went to our website. I'm like, well, number one, I don't think we don't call our analysts that, because we have specialized analysts.
Mm.
So I was like, we don't have just a data analyst. Like our analysts are based on our platforms.
Ooh, now that's interesting. So I tell you what, I got one the other day that was unique, different. It was one of those disappearing messages, but it was on WhatsApp. And I didn't even know WhatsApp had that capability. It said that it was going to disappear, but I don't think it ever did. And the sad part about it is sometimes you have to click into the message in order to delete it. Like if you click the button the right way, you can hover over it sometimes if you're on the web. But on your phone, I think you actually have to click it in order to delete it. And so it sends them a message back showing that you've read it. And
Okay.
so I didn't read this thing. I just deleted it, but it said something about disappearing messages or some crap. I'm like, oh, now and it was a video. That was the other thing. I still don't know what was on the video because I didn't open it. But just weird. Because I thought Snapchat was the platform that had the disappearing messages, which, is what it is.
Well, I knew that. I don't really use WhatsApp. Well, I do, but I don't. So we've only used it when our children have traveled to our oldest went to Spain a couple years ago.
Yeah.
We used it for that. And then my daughter's going to be going in like 30 days. So we'll be using it for that.
Yep. It is definitely good for that, but people can. I've got a business and a personal WhatsApp, and the business one, people just, good grief, the spam messages, they are quite annoying. So if anyone messages you and asks you to send them risque photos, what do we say? No. And then we block it right away. I mean, it's
Go away.
Here's what I'm guessing, though. Here's what I'm guessing happened. I'm guessing that they sent some risque photos first that were probably either AI generated or stolen off the internet. And then they asked the person, hey, you've seen me. Can I see you? And that person stupidly sent back something, which led to this whole extortion scheme where their identity was stolen. And here we are, $4.99 million later, 29 people indicted. Was it 31 indicted, 29 pleading guilty, one on the run, and then I can't remember what happened to the other one.
Yeah.
Insane. Just crazy. Okay. Anything else? I think that's it for this week.
Yeah, no, that's it. I'm just glad the majority of them just were like, oh yeah, I did it. I'm guilty.
Right, I know. So in parting, if you want to streamline your audit processes, check out Audit Leverage. If you're really, really interested in it, just shoot me a message. We can have a conversation or two about it. But it is the first AI platform designed with auditors in mind, leveraging AI to help you become more effective and more efficient at what you do. With that said, we'll see you next week.
Happy Friday.